as Hurricane Katrina pounds Louisiana and Mississippi. Stay with 11 News for the most complete coverage of this killer storm. Live reports throughout the day and night, showing you the latest pictures of the devastation. From the eye of the storm to Katrina's impact on Houston, 11 News has more reporters covering this story from every angle. And turn to hurricane expert Dr. Neil Frank for the most reliable track of Katrina. For the most up-to-the-minute coverage of Katrina, trust 11 News.
Nearly a week later, New Orleans is still a city under siege, and the rescues continue.
Somebody push her in the water.
Fires still burn. At least 2 police officers have killed themselves. Other lawmen have shot citizens who shot at repair workers. And the mayor has had it again.
And what the state was doing, I don't freaking know. But I tell you, I am pissed. It wasn't adequate.
Sentiments echoed by the Jefferson Parish president.
The aftermath of Hurricane Katrina will go down as one of the worst abandonments of Americans on American soil ever.
Good evening, I'm Sherman Chow, and you have tuned in to a special hour-long edition of 11 News at 10.
And I'm Vicente Arenas on assignment in Louisiana tonight. I am in Baton Rouge right now, but earlier today traveled 70 miles along the coastline. Want to show you some video of a spectacular rescue that we came across. A couple of elderly people were in a hospice, this boat crew coming up on it. They had been there for days without food, days without water. Finally, they were taken to safety. You'll meet the folks who carried out this rescue and a chaplain who refused to leave their side. That's coming up in just a moment. For now, Sherman, back to you.
All right, thank you, Vicente. And more live coverage coming up as well. First, the facts, though, as we know them at this hour. And as you look at more of those rescues Vicente spoke about, they are still going on 7 days after the hurricane hit. The estimates now, about 120,000 evacuees are in Houston tonight. Another 130,000 spread out across the rest of our state. Governor Rick Perry has now ordered airlifts to other states that have offered to help diverting victims there. Aid centers will be set up at airports here and in Dallas, where incoming evacuees will be given food, water, and medical care. They will then be flown to Michigan, Utah, West Virginia, and Iowa. The mayor of New Orleans said late today that he believes thousands of people are dead, and he wants to try and get all of his police officers out of the city. They are simply exhausted beyond endurance. 2 have committed suicide. There are reports of sickness in shelters that may have been caused by exposure to the filthy conditions in which people found themselves. 2 crew members are safe tonight after their helicopter crashed on a rescue mission. They were headed to pick up more stranded storm victims when the chopper went down. The 2 crew members, though, walked away with only minor injuries. Also tonight, an emergency landing at Ellington when a plane helping with the evacuee effort came down without landing gear. Luckily, no one was hurt. It is not clear if there were any passengers on board. We will have a live report from there a little later on. But at this moment, we want to go to 11 News reporter Nancy Holland. She is live tonight at Reliant Park, where some of those health concerns were being addressed. Nancy?
Sherman, let me give you some idea of what's going on with the medical community tonight. The Reliant Arena Shelter Clinic is seeing about 50 patients an hour, and that is in 70 clinic rooms. They tell us there are about 270 children being treated, and about a third of those are for diarrhea. It is the kind of thing that the medical community really expected to see here, and they tell us tonight that they are able to handle it. But the one hurt that they can't seem to handle is the hurt that people feel when they can't find the families and friends that they love.
Shanetta, Palin, and family, please proceed to the outside.
There is an endless call of names here. Background, unless you are one of the searchers. A college looks for 500 students.
If I just put my hand up, like me.
They find one.
That would be your last resort.
Of the 17,500 people here, it's hard to find anyone who is not searching. But communities are forming.
I had never felt fear in my life until I seen all that water coming in my house.
Friends share stories and a cot next door, like they might have shared a stoop on a New Orleans night. Lewis Harris worked for the city, keeping it beautiful, he says. His friends are now family.
By the only friends I have. Yeah, only friends I got right there.
I don't know where my family at. You know, they left before the storm. They're in some part of Texas, but I don't know where.
His friend Alfred says they know nothing of tomorrow.
I hope I wake up in the morning, but where I'm going, I don't know. You know, wherever the good Lord point me at.
New Orleans called itself the city that care forgot.
How you doing?
Now its people laugh and cry and dream and try to forget their cares by caring for the person in the cot next door.
And what is absolutely heart-wrenching that is going on here tonight is that when we are allowed in, and we are allowed in for short periods of time, about 10 minutes, that people will come up to us and hold up a picture and say, have you seen this person? Have you seen this person? And when we say no, they just thank us, and they go on, and they are apparently committed to asking all 18,000 people in that dome if they have to, as they are still searching for the people that they love. Live at the Astrodome, Nancy Holland, 11 News. Sharon Min, back to you.
All right, Nancy, thank you. Cots are a precious commodity in shelters across Houston, especially at the GRB. 2,000 evacuees are there, and more are expected. 11 News reporter Mike Zentek was able to get into another shelter today as well. Here's what he found inside Reliance Center.
Do you have any special dietary needs? Are you diabetic? Are you on special, no medication?
The intake area is the start of life at Reliance Center for these Louisiana evacuees. But it's also the end of a horrific journey. These new arrivals survived the chaos and danger of New Orleans longer than those already here.
You can't hardly explain it. It was terrible. You know, it's crowded, congested. It took us, I think, 15 hours to get here.
When you've gone through so much, it's easy to sleep with the lights on. A cot over were Bianca Jackson and her children, who made it out of the muddy waters and reached the Astrodome. But cramped conditions meant a move to Reliance Center.
It was kind of hard, so I'm glad they moved us over here. We've been through a lot, and I haven't really had no sleep until I got over here.
Just like the dome, here too is a wall for the missing.
Once we get the names from the victim, we post them here.
Evacuees put up their names and the names and pictures of lost loved ones. Wade Freeman lives in Houston, but doesn't know what happened to his two little daughters.
I haven't spoken to him since the storm began, and I'm just worried about him. I've been looking day after day, just hoping for the best.
But the board provided no answer. Maybe the next group, which fills these cots, will include his two young girls. And we've learned there are a total of 25,000 evacuees here at Reliant Park and at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Officials also say that the Astrodome can be open as a shelter all the way through December. Reporting from Reliant Park, Mike Zentek, 11 News.
And now we want to take you back live to 11 News anchor Vicente Arenas in Baton Rouge. And Vicente, you managed to get inside St. Bernard Parish east of New Orleans today.
Yeah, I tell you what, that is an area that has been so heavily devastated by Hurricane Katrina. People there are absolutely upset, and they're hurting tonight because they feel that they've been abandoned. Today I talked with the parish president, which is the equivalent of a mayor. I asked him, Mr. President, what is it that you need? He says, we need everything. Here's some of what we saw.
100 on 5.
In the small community of Chalmette, it seems like the searching will never end.
It's bad. It's a hell of an emotional problem. But and then let me tell you something, those bodies, those people are still out there. We never even got body bags. We're just going to get them today.
65 dead so far. Katrina's punch was too much to handle.
This is manpower intensive, and we didn't have a whole lot of manpower. You have to realize our people were in water that was 25 feet deep, rescuing people for days.
Help is trickling in, but workers are stretched thin.
All day long, people have been in this neighborhood, people with boats like this, trying to save people who've been trapped in their homes, some on top of roofs, some in their attics, and in one particular case, at a hospice.
It's just up the road from Chalmette in East New Orleans. Two elderly people are lowered from a rooftop onto boats. They'd been stranded here for days, their chaplain by their side.
You know, I needed to be there with them. I wanted them to die with some dignity. I didn't want these people to be alone.
Back in St. Bernard Parish, there is a sense of loneliness with very few to help with rescues there. That's why Thelma Wagasback's family decided to head for Baton Rouge, 100 miles away on a tractor. Not so bad, she says.
Fun.
Fun.
Yeah. At least we're living.
Wagaspack made it, but the death toll in her town is expected to rise dramatically, where nearly every home was flooded.
I was told by the authorities there today that 99% of the homes that were flooded, they've ordered 300 body bags so far. They're not exactly sure how many are dead. Now here's another major problem developing there tonight. A huge oil tanker has split in half, and the parish president says that they have a very thick oil slick. He says it's nothing but sludge. It's about 1.5 miles wide and 1.5 miles long, and they haven't even had a chance to start working on that yet. Right now, they're still rescuing and trying to get people to safety. Reporting live in Baton Rouge, Vicente Arenas, 11 News.
Folks obviously have their hands full. 11 News reporter Jim Douglas has also been watching the life-saving mission today in New Orleans.
The good guys aren't playing defense anymore.
You authorize deadly force, but you make sure they fire at you first.
Soldiers of the California and Texas Guard roll into New Orleans. They set up at a looted Walmart near the convention center, where a defiant handful of police have held out, waiting for this moment.
Oh, it feels damn good. It feels damn good, man.
It's not just soldiers coming to help police, but the FBI, even 3 Texas Hill Country constables who drove down on their own.
They haven't even been able to check on their own personal situation, and they're out here sacrificing their own personal situation for others.
Welcome to the 6th District.
Thanks, sir.
The 6th District, where storm damage stunned even veteran soldiers, but this mess just made them mad.
This shows you how low a human can go.
Still some rotting food in the Walmart, but no TVs, no jewelry, and no guns left.
They're armed a lot better than we are.
Captain Anthony Canatella warned newcomers, told them nearby cops got in a Sunday morning shootout.
They started shooting at the police, and the police shot back. And there's 5 of them were shot. I think 2 were killed and 3 are wounded. 1 jumped over the bridge, escaped the gunfire, and I think he died down below in the industrial canal.
Then lawmen and soldiers headed out into neighborhoods, and a large family finally felt safe to come out of hiding.
The public and the country need to know that the New Orleans Police Department is fully functional. We're not running. We're going to give the city back to the citizens that rightfully own it.
Jim Douglas reporting. And once again, helicopters and planes have been flying in and out of the New Orleans airport. 11 News reporter Angela Kucherga is in Kenner for us tonight with an update on all of this.
The New Orleans airport has been transformed into a staging ground for a rescue and relief operation, a massive operation involving thousands of survivors who are being flown here on military helicopters. And despite their ordeal, many are counting their blessings tonight. Helicopter after helicopter arrived filled with survivors. People plucked from the rubble who had fought the rising water.
They were passing by and I hollered out the window.
By climbing to higher ground.
I got the bird and I got a cat, rattle, and I survived up in the attic for 5 days.
He's ready to go running him.
Some still clung to their small pets.
I told them if they can't come, I'm not going.
Inside the airport, the triage center set up Wednesday is slowing down. But the cases are more severe, the wounds more than physical.
They're very distraught. I mean, everyone that's coming through here has lost everything that they have.
Health and Human Services Secretary Mike Leavitt toured the airport but could not answer the critical question on most residents' minds.
How long will it be before New Orleans is safe again for people to inhabit it?
That's not something that I think any of us are certain of at this moment.
Little comfort for the tens of thousands who are now homeless.
I don't know what we're going to do right now. They say they was taking us to the airport, and then from there, they were going to see from there, so I don't know.
President Bush will get a first-hand look at this airport turned triage center tomorrow. He flies into this airport for his second tour of this hurricane-devastated region.
All right, thank you, Angela. And later in this newscast, Faith in a Crisis will take you to church services here in Houston, in Baton Rouge, and believe it or not, in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Thousands waited days to be rescued from New Orleans with no food, no water, and no air conditioning. Many did not survive. But just who is to blame? Well, the president of Jefferson Parish hit the morning talk shows and called for a congressional investigation.
We have been abandoned by our own country. Hurricane Katrina will go down in history as one of the worst storms ever to hit an American coast, but the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina will go down as one of the worst abandonments of Americans on American soil. It's not just Katrina that caused all these deaths in New Orleans here, and bureaucracy has to stand trial before Congress now.
Others, though, have blamed local officials, claiming a poor evacuation plan came too late and that emergency shelters became their own disasters. In Washington, President Bush toured the Red Cross disaster headquarters, and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice today defended him against allegations that the government's sluggish response showed racial insensitivity. She did that as she toured damage in her native Alabama. Red Cross workers and volunteers have also been busy out at Reliant Park, and they tell us they can always use some more help. If you'd like to donate your time, here is the number to call. It is 713-965-0031. A reminder, we have much more on our website at KHOU.com, including blogs from our crews in the field and all sorts of other information, how to and where to give help, all the information that we can't get into our newscasts. You'll also learn more there about the relief effort that President Bush has asked his father and former President Bill Clinton to run. Both presidents are veterans of the tsunami relief effort. Mr. Clinton and Mr. Bush will be at Reliance Center in the morning to talk more about that. It is still not known just how many people are missing. Countless names are up on a wall of missing at the Astrodome. We've been contacted by many evacuees asking us to let people know that they're okay or to help them find someone. Periodically in this newscast, you will hear from some people who haven't connected with their relatives yet. The need is overwhelming, and this is just a small attempt, but an attempt nevertheless to help however we can. Coming up on 11 News.
Gotta praise God. Wouldn't be for him, I wouldn't be here.
We take you to church services here.
With your outstretched hand, Lord.
And in Baton Rouge, a city that's become a lot like New Orleans West. And the faithful come together in the wrecked French Quarter.
Began, you can't get well. Tell him what you want.
Plus, Mississippi is in mourning. We'll have a report on what's happening there right now from Biloxi.
It is definitely horrifying. We have many people that are needing psychological help because of the devastation that they're having to endure.
I am Camille Nalata from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm looking primarily for my cousins, Donald Butler from Kenner, Tyrone Butler, his brother, who lived in the American Can Company Apartments, Ida Berryhill from West Bank.
The stories are heartbreaking, the pain, both mental and physical, unimaginable. And the images like these are everywhere, etched into our memories. While answers are scarce, prayers are plentiful, and so is help. Some area churches are pledging $1 million to the relief efforts, including Second Baptist, where they have been busy assembling hygiene kits. And today, 10,000 people packed the Central Campus to train for food services at the GRB. Second is coordinating a citywide interfaith effort with 130-plus churches, synagogues, and mosques. This morning, city and religious leaders said thank you.
When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was sick, you comforted me. When I was a stranger, you took me in. For you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Houston is that city.
A shining city on a hill. 11 News reporter Wendell Edwards has more tonight on faith in a crisis.
It's Sunday morning at St. Peter Claver in Northeast Houston.
You shall love your neighbor as yourself.
And Gwendolyn Garrison finds herself still dazed and confused, but yet thankful.
Gotta praise God. Wouldn't be for him, I wouldn't be here.
We all need prayer at this moment.
At Mass today,
the Lord gives what the Lord takes away.
The members of St. Peter Claver opened their arms to God and their hearts to evacuees, trying to make them feel at home, if not thankful for what they do have.
And I know that God will provide for you. The road ahead may be difficult, but God will provide.
And for evacuees who want to go to church but couldn't, here at the George R. Brown Convention Center, officials brought church to them. Inside the convention center, a mass for those needing to worship. It was led by Archbishop Joseph Fiorenza, who says it is times like these when faith is tested the most.
Many people in these times, desperate times, they're wondering why God is allowing this to happen to us. So they have a right to be angry at God, but they have no right to lose faith or hope in God.
But I have faith.
A concept Tisha Givens of New Orleans understands all too well.
And I'm thankful that he spared my life, because there's some people still in the city on top of their rooftops.
What some evacuees have found is even in the midst of tragedy, as long as there is life, there will always be hope and faith. Wendell Edwards, 11 News.
Similar scenes were played out at churches all over, including Baton Rouge. 11 News reporter Jeff McShann was at Sunday services there. Jeff?
That's right, Sherman. You know, for many of the evacuees, the process of healing begins in churches. And today, on this first Sunday of September, we came across many of them inside houses of worship, just trying to strengthen their faith. Let us go into the house of the Lord. Words from the Bible that were anxiously followed by many in this part of the world today.
Everybody in the house feels the tension, stress, the anxiety.
All walks of life could be found in church, many sitting side by side. This is Pastor Mark Mitchell from Kenner.
You know, the one thing that we hold on to is our faith in God and our belief and our trust that the Master will bring us through.
Thoughts echoed at Mount Zion in downtown Baton Rouge, where the pastor from First African Baptist Church in New Orleans led everyone in a moving prayer.
There was some this morning that are still on the rooftops. There are some, Lord God, that are still in attics. But we know that you know where they are. And with your outstretched hand, Lord, we ask that you would bring them out.
And in houses of worship everywhere, perhaps prayers are being answered. Because up on the interstate, the buses just keep coming and coming. They keep bringing people out in this part of the world tonight. Indeed, but a lot of people wondering why it's taken so long. Coming up a little bit later in this expanded edition of 11 News tonight, we have some new video from the helicopters that have been flying over the area. They were up in the area for about 5 hours today, so we'll show you some of the new video that's coming your way in just a little while. Live from Baton Rouge, I'm Jeff McShann, 11 News.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, Jeff. Thousands of evacuated children are expected to enroll in Houston schools. More than 500 have already signed up. Volunteers with HISD will be signing up more at the Astrodome and Convention Center later this week. The kids will be put in schools across the city and in two schools recently closed, Ryan Elementary and Douglas Elementary. And we want to continue now with our up-to-the-minute coverage of Hurricane Katrina's aftermath. Mississippi is also in mourning. At last count, 161 are dead there, where entire towns have been flattened. Reporter Aline Sergani shows us what's happening now in Biloxi.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
They had no pews, but plenty of prayers. Parishioners from the Episcopal Church of the Redeemer in Biloxi still showed up for Sunday services, even though their house of worship is gone. It seemed all of Biloxi was praying for strength.
I've been asked more than once, why? Why, Pastor? Why would God allow this?
But there are few answers amid the piles of rubble. The death toll in Mississippi is more than 160, and officials expect that number will rise. Here in Biloxi, there are reports of an outbreak of dysentery. For Red Cross workers, it is a daunting task.
It is definitely horrifying. We have many people that are needing psychological help because of the devastation that they're having to endure.
The destruction is so overwhelming. There is so much devastation that at first you think you're in a war zone, literally. But then when you take a closer look, that's when you realize this was someone's home.
You okay?
Marjorie Miner and her husband lost everything.
It's the end of a part of your existence that will never be again.
Some victims here say their cries for help are falling on deaf ears because of the overwhelming problems in New Orleans.
I think everybody needs help.
A Navy hovercraft brought ashore enough food and water for several hundred people Sunday. That's little comfort for a city that has endured so much. Aline Sergani, CBS News, Biloxi.
Next on 11 News, evacuees are in Houston searching for their missing grandson in the aftermath of Katrina. And we'll take you live to Ellington Field, which will be the center of activity for those airlifts of evacuees to other states.
My name is Thelma Locking, L-O-C-K-I-N-G, and we're here trying to locate some family members and friends that misplaced and we don't know where they are.
My name is James Jones. I'm looking for my wife, Janice Jones. I'm from New Orleans. I don't know where she is, and I want to know I'm missing. I love her, and I'm hoping she is alive and well and get in touch with me in Houston. And also my daddy, James C. Hurst. Thank y'all.
You're watching an expanded edition of 11 News at 10, and for the next half hour, we'll continue to cover the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. There are so many heartbreaking stories, including that of 6-month-old Shane Martin, born premature and in a coma. Shane was airlifted out of a Louisiana hospital, but no one seems to know to where. His grandparents are in Houston looking for him. The Martins are both pastors. Both their church and their home were destroyed. They continue to search for their grandson. As we told you earlier in the newscast, Governor Rick Perry has ordered new incoming evacuees flown here first and then on to other states that have agreed to take them. First stop for them, Ellington Field, where 11 News reporter Jeremy Diesel is live tonight. Jeremy?
Well, Sherman, just in the last 15 minutes or so, activity has really picked up at this makeshift triage center here at Ellington Field. Moments ago, a busload of elderly evacuees were told from the Astrodome arrived here, and they are about to be traveling again. They didn't even stop long at that triage unit before being bussed down the tarmac to a waiting HC-130 plane from the Idaho Air National Guard. Now, in addition to its air medical crews who have been helping out, about a dozen seniors who need that specific nursing home care are going to be going along to Idaho, too. We're told that that plane is going to be leaving here in just a few minutes, bound for Boise, Idaho. Another load of evacuees is also expected to be coming in here. As you can see the picture now live of that HC-130 on its way, getting ready to go to Idaho. They're expecting another plane to be arriving here with evacuees aboard to be processed any minute. And these are just the first signs of Governor Perry's new airlift plan to get evacuees out to other states. There are also 3 HC-130 transports from West Virginia. They are here, and they're expected to load as many as 100 evacuees on their trip home. That's likely to happen tomorrow. Now, the crews for those aircraft are resting tonight after running missions to Kelly in San Antonio for the last couple of days. It's a tough mission, but not without payback.
They're glad to see us. I don't know how many hugs and kisses I've gotten getting off the aircraft, thanking us, thanking God that they're here.
Now, when those planes return to West Virginia, again, likely to be sometime tomorrow, they will carry more than 100 evacuees, we're told, on all 3 of those planes back to West Virginia. Now, Governor Perry says that Continental, American, and Southwest, all the 3 major airlines that are based here in Texas, have agreed to take part in this airlift effort that will be based here at Ellington Field and also up in Dallas. And he has secured permission from governors of at least 7 states as far away as New York to help take on those evacuees. Again, we're keeping our eyes on that plane that's about to leave here, bound for Idaho, and if anything changes with that, we'll bring it to you. But for now, we are live at Ellington Field. I'm Jeremy Diesel, 11 News.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. And right after this, we'll go back to Reliant Park for another update. Stay with us.
My name is Simon Bryant. And this is my son, Troy Bryant. And we last saw him right before the storm hit. I think it was maybe Saturday night.
Let's go back now live to Reliant Park and 11 News reporter Nancy Holland. Nancy?
Sherman, we are about 20 minutes away from nighttime in the Dome. There are 17,500 people in there who are all waiting at this hour for lights out. Now, during the day, it is very noisy in there, but at night, the people here say it actually changes, that the children go to sleep and it actually becomes quiet. That's the word they really do use, as people here try to be considerate of one another. More than 20,000 people have now volunteered to help those evacuees, and many of the evacuees want to express their gratitude.
And the people in Houston, they open their heart, they open their arms. The people in Houston are so wonderful.
Now, tonight we saw buses pulling out. They carried elderly people, about 40 of them. Housing has been found for them. Now, more of them are expected to leave tomorrow. But even as that happened, we understand that at least 2 more buses from New Orleans came in tonight. So the population continues to grow. Just in the Dome alone, 17,500 people. Live at the Dome, Nancy Holland, 11 News. Sherman, back to you.
All right, that is a small city. Thanks, Nancy. And back to Louisiana now, and reporter Susan Roberts in Kenner.
It has been another long, hot, tough day in New Orleans. Police are still looking for criminals who roam the streets in some parts of this city, and the rescue effort is far from over. Just when this ravaged city seemed to be making progress, a band of gunmen turned this bridge repair into a crime scene.
Just today, I think we've shot 7 people. I think we've killed 5 people, all with weapons.
Police say the men they shot had opened fire on a group of Army contractors. None of them was hurt, but it was a black eye on a day that otherwise appeared hopeful. Buses continue to move hurricane victims out. At the airport, there is food and air conditioning, and many more of the sick got the attention they need. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers patched up the city's biggest levee breach with sandbags. The water is still standing here on Canal Street and in other parts of the city, and it will be for the most part until the electrical crews can get some of the power back on and the pumps working again. Helicopters continued their patrols over the waterlogged suburbs, and on the ground, rescuers went door to door.
I think we are having some difficulties getting some of the folks out of their houses because they think they're safer there. This is the world that they've known all of their lives.
The state of Louisiana confirmed over 50 deaths Sunday, but warned they expect to find thousands more once the rescue teams have finished their work. This young boy lost his mother.
Somebody push her in the water.
One more tragic story in a city filled with thousands just like it. In addition to the losses here, there are countless people looking for their loved ones. The Red Cross has established a missing persons website in hopes that people can reconnect. Just outside New Orleans, I'm Susan Roberts. Now back to you.
That website will be busy. Thanks, Susan. Katrina victims all across the hard-hit Gulf Coast states took time to worship, though, today. 11 News reporter Gary Reeves tells us, as often happens in time of despair, many turn to their faith in a crisis.
Churches like Shiloh Baptist in Baton Rouge opened their doors to the hurricane homeless. Brenda Griffin of New Orleans could not have been more pleased.
People make me feel like I'm home. I just thank God for it.
It's a blessing because so many churches no longer have doors that open. In Slidell, Mass was held in the middle of the street with the once towering stained glass windows of the Lady of Lourdes Church laid out like so much carpet.
Just a lot of tears to watch our parish go down.
Still, they counted their blessings that Father Adrian Hall survived after the storm surge nearly drowned him in the now ruined rectory.
There's a water line right there.
Yeah, you can see it. All of this happened on the backside of the storm.
Untouched churches like Shiloh are meeting needs beyond the spiritual. When they brought in Dallas native Johnny Bell Morris, he and his kids were wandering the streets.
It's hard to find people in this day and age that don't look past their greed or wants and needs to help other people.
But Katrina, best known for bringing out the worst in people, has another side. Whether on America's street or in the middle of the street, she is making faith a survivor.
There's a lot of good people when you see something like this happen, to come together as stronger.
Gary Reeves reporting. Tens of thousands of homes are still underwater tonight in the New Orleans area, 7 days after Hurricane Katrina roared ashore, the worst catastrophe in U.S. history. And as we said earlier, 2 New Orleans police officers have taken their own lives, and the ones who are still on patrol are worn out, also in need of food, water, and rest. Now, a relief force from Galveston is trying to do what it can. Here's 11 News reporter Lucy Bustamante.
These police officers from Galveston, Texas, had their hearts filled with compassion.
I mean, it just has to be done. These guys are out here, they're working their tails off, and, you know, it's a scary feeling.
So they filled their trucks to the top and headed for New Orleans.
I mean, we're kicking ourselves in the rear end. We really wish we could have been down here sooner, and we should have been.
They stopped at the Target parking lot, Katrina, its last customer, and armed themselves. The stories have spread fast.
The looting, you know, some of the shots being fired, the weapons being taken by basically criminals. We got to be prepared when we go in there.
Anybody got any questions? Everybody on safe? All right, let's roll.
And after traveling through the bruised city, they finally got to the police department, who set up under Harrah's Casino. They admit they're not beaten, just feel beaten up.
New Orleans cops that are pretty much on their last leg right now, and things like this keep them going.
Y'all need anything from us, anything, I don't care, man. Be safe, y'all.
Baby wipes and water. Baby wipes.
The Galveston officers line up and pass down just about everything they think the officers could need.
You know what, there's nothing better in the world we can do to help a brother officer out in need. And what we were watching on the news was a disgrace when they weren't getting any food or water down here.
Mostly the Galveston Police Department brought cases and cases of water. And even though this may look like a lot, the New Orleans police officers say that this will be gone by the end of the night.
Keep the faith. I mean, we didn't quit in the storm, we didn't quit after the storm, and we hadn't quit yet. And we don't want people to quit on us. So stay with us and support us, and we're going to come back. We've been through this before.
Just before they leave, they capture the moment with a picture.
All right, thank y'all very much. Thank you very much.
A moment that will help New Orleans to slowly get back to its picture-perfect self.
And in New Orleans today, a roving gang of armed men shot at Army Corps of Engineer workers on their way to fix a levee. None of the workers were injured, but at least 5 of the gunmen were killed when police returned fire. My partner on the Weekend Anchor Desk here is live again in Baton Rouge. And earlier, Vicente, you showed us some very dramatic pictures of houses hard hit in St. Bernard Parish.
Yeah, and on our way to St. Bernard Parish, I want you to know that we saw a number of armed guards. We saw Suburbans with a number of guards hanging off. They had the helmets on, the flak jackets, the automatic rifles. Still a very stressful night, still a very dangerous night in New Orleans as we pass through the downtown area on our way to St. Bernard Parish. Here are some of those pictures. An absolutely devastated community where 99% of the homes are said to be underwater. A bit of good news, very little good news, is that Canadian mounted patrols are now on boats helping with the search and rescue. Also, California rescue workers are there. They're going house to house, marking them when they find bodies. 65 so far. That number expected to increase dramatically. Now, the entire parish was underwater. In one case, 20 people were found tied together. They were dead. And in another case, 35 to 40 people in a nursing home were also found dead. That death toll expected to rise. The parish president describes how one rescuer made a horrifying discovery.
We had a gentleman that went over there to find one of our employees that went to find his father who was in the home. He found his father outside, drowned, floating, you know.
So a very difficult time for the people in St. Bernard Parish. Those stories are everywhere. It's just been an absolutely terrible time for the people here in New Orleans. Our company's helicopter was flying over the area today. My colleague Jeff McShann joining me now. Boy, new pictures unfolding just at every turn, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in Houston, Vince, today that are staying at the Astrodome and various shelters around our city might be interested in some of this video. As he mentioned, our company's helicopter was up for a little more than 5 hours. Let's take a look at some of the video that was just brought in to our newsroom here this afternoon. We can tell you that the first video here is from Long Beach, Mississippi, which is just across the Louisiana state border. You see the houses there completely leveled for miles, all from a massive storm surge. A little in from the coast, you can see some of the houses were mysteriously spared. A very strange sight indeed. And these next pictures coming up here in just a second, we move back to St. Bernard Parish, where Vicente was today. This is the southeastmost region of the state of Louisiana, completely surrounded by water. Houses were picked up and moved back down off their foundations. This just gives you an idea of how strong and how powerful this storm was. They hit nearly a week ago now, believe it or not. And finally, this is Bay St. Louis, again a community on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, and sadly it all looks the same. We're also going to tell you about rescue workers that have been going, of course, around the clock, and you mentioned it earlier in the newscast today, but earlier today a private helicopter with 2 men on board ended up needing help themselves. It crashed, fell on its side. You can look at the tail there. It looks like it snapped in two. Thankfully, we have learned that both men walked away from that crash and they were treated with minor injuries. But both of us have been at the airport a couple of times this week, and we've seen the choppers just come and go. We've heard an estimate of about 10 choppers per minute. And this private helicopter was out there today trying to do the job and unfortunately crashed, but thankfully they're okay. But it's just been an amazing scene here over the last week or so, right?
It has indeed, Jeff. Those choppers just flying all over the city, and they still have a lot more work to do. As you pass by, you see them rescuing people, dropping off supplies, so they're going to be busy for a while. Thank you, Jeff. Tomorrow morning, many of the people will be allowed back into Jefferson Parish, and they'll be allowed to go back to assess their homes starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to be a very long day for them as they finally get to go back home and see what is left, or perhaps what is not left. We'll be covering those stories for you tomorrow. Sherman, back to you.
All right, you know people will be lining up for their first chance to take a good look there. All right, thank you, Vicente. An emotional story of a mother's love after she loses one child in the floodwaters, then gains another. Well, of the many church services that happened today, there was one in the most unlikely of places.
Oh, man, tell him what you want. Oh, Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want.
This is an impromptu service in the French Quarter, a place usually a bit better known for its decadence than its spirituality. Kind of an interesting note, things may be better in the French Quarter than elsewhere because it's built on relatively high ground. We're also told that people there are banding together as in tribes and dividing up the labor for wash, for protection, trying to build some semblance of civilization back together there. Well, finally tonight, a story we pray will bring hope to the thousands of people living in the Astrodome who cannot find their families. It is the story of one mother's ordeal and the volunteers who made right what was wrong. Rosina Jefferson has redefined labor for pregnant mothers. Expecting, she jumped out of a window and, with contractions, swam for half an hour in the putrid New Orleans waters. All this to get help for her asthmatic 5-year-old son. But along the way, she was detoured to a Baton Rouge hospital by the U.S. Coast Guard.
Perfect heart, perfect lungs. Can't do any better than that, okay, Mama?
Rosina delivered one child, but lost the other in the chaos.
I'm here because I got this baby, but I miss my other baby.
Thanks to TV reports, she knew he was safe, but in an out-of-state shelter far away. When she was discharged, her first stop was at her church. They'd put together a nursery for her.
And we got all of this just for you, but we got something else for you, okay?
A hospital secretary drove all night to the Houston Astrodome and back again to reunite mother and child. There is no better sight. Thank you for your time and for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow morning. Good night.